got
episode.
the finale.
This was a cheers for the ages because we're cheering for the fact that there's more Attack on Titan, ?
Also, we dressed up to celebrate lies.
We dressed up for the red carpet. All right, friends. If this is your first time here, we are Beyond the Basement, the complete
Breakdown podcast.
Do you
guys say that at home with us?
You should.
I hope somebody does. I imagine at least one. There's always somebody. He's like, oh, that's my favorite part. Okay, well, now that part's over. I'm Eric. This is
Rachel.
And over here we have
I'm disappointed.
The infamous Peter.
Also,
My name's Peter.
And this is episode 87. It's called The Dawn of Humanity.
It's the Dawn of Lies. No,
Also
I'm just
known
kidding.
as Season 4, Part 2, Episode 12, the not final episode.
not final
the not
episode.
final season.
Not final season. It's season 4.
This is
still.
actually season 5, and next we're gonna have season 6.
This is what I've been saying for a long time.
Episode 1.
Why don't we, okay, before we discuss anything, actually, let me just remind our viewers, if you're watching on YouTube, you can find us live over on Twitch, okay? So we've been doing Sunday nights. Everybody knows we've been doing Sunday nights. Our tentative plan right now is to actually switch to Friday nights, potentially, which I understand may not work for everybody. We're trying to, because we all have like very busy lives outside of this, but we love doing the show. So we're trying to find a time that like can still work, but doesn't like interfere with so many things. So we may be switching to Friday nights. We will let you know via all the social things exactly when that happens. But yeah, anyway. Second thing, if you are listening, you need to go watch the podcast. You can watch it on YouTube. You can watch it live on Twitch. And if you were watching, you would notice something different today.
We're all fancy.
We're all dressed up all fancy because we're red carpeting, you know.
We're here for the finale.
Finale episode.
We drove in our limo. Our driver no, we didn't.
I drove in my car that has been dented several times this year.
I drove my old pickup. It was awesome.
Welcome if it's the first time live. Welcome, Kung Fu Panda.
Yeah, hey, we're stoked to have you.
If you guys weren't here last week, I want to remind you to go check out that episode. It is a cool Q&A with our friend Mako-chan. She's the best. She helped us translate some of the cool Attack on Titan, Japanese.
Yeah, she's a Japanese teacher, so she's Japanese, moved to Canada kind of early in life, and then like majored in Japanese. Anyway, so she does like whatever TikTok stuff and Instagram and all that jazz.
Yeah, check her out. My Japanese Academia on YouTube and on TikTok.
Extremely helpful. Honestly, like I knew we were gonna have fun if we ever got to do that. We finally did it. And I'm like, okay, thank you so much, Mako. If you're watching, we freaking love you.
You're the best.
My favorite Japanese fact was that so means nose poop.
Well, okay, great. I'm glad you brought that up.
Okay.
Because that is amazing.
So Mako sent us an email.
Oh no!
And and she so
I read it. That's why I said that.
yes. So she said that. Hang on one sec.
You gotta find
Talk
it.
amongst yourselves.
Okay, we'll talk amongst ourselves.
He has to find it
Okay,
first.
let me
but
recap this episode for a second so the people who are listening in the future know exactly what episode we're talking about. Okay, so episode 87, the disappointment. I'm sorry, the Dawn of Humanity. This is the episode that is essentially Mikasa recapping her experience with Eren, right? She starts with questioning, like, we all said that Eren had changed. I thought that too, but what if we were all wrong? What if he's just been this way the entire time? So they kind of do this long flashback, and they actually start it with the day that they all arrive in Liberio. So somebody needs to do this. Somebody needs to go back into season 4 and take all the episodes that are flashing back to the in-between, the 4 years in between, and assemble them chronologically.
Please,
like I know it'd be like the most YouTube would take you down thing ever, but somebody needs to take not even the episodes, but like just cut the flashbacks out and put them in chronological order. Because I swear in my life they always do this, like, oh, look at all this mystery. Now here's something you didn't know from behind. I'm like, maybe once in a while you could just show me things in order and then I would understand it better. But nonetheless. This is that episode. It's them at the port. It's the whole gang. Sasha, Rip, we love you. Glad to have you back.
Even for one episode.
The whole gang at the port, messing around. And really, it's just them going through this whole, like, first, maybe it looks like a few days, maybe a week or so in Marley. It's their first time outside the walls. They are meeting with the Azumabitos. Yeah, they see cars. They're meeting with the Azumabitos. And what they're looking forward to is there's a group that's going to have a hearing before Marley. That's supposedly NLD refugee protection group, so on and so forth. And they're looking for diplomatic ways to get Paradise on the same page as with the rest of the world so there can be peace. right? They talk about it's a long shot. Obviously, they find out that's not the case. That's not what they're actually looking for. And then we cut to Aaron. Now, it doesn't really say, like, the first part of the episode is pretty clear that it's Mikasa having a flashback. This part, it doesn't really, this is kind of like just for us as viewers, I think, because now we're talking about Aaron, and this is Aaron, and it's him having his first conversation with Zeke. It's him having a conversation with Flock. It's him having a conversation with Yelena, and him having a conversation with Historia, where we kind of see the behind the scenes of him playing out the plans. First, the sterilization plan, and then the rumbling, and you see people's kind of different reactions, and Historia has some resistance to it, and so on. And the episode ends with we're finally caught back up. We're now back in real time, and you've got the navies of the world actually trying to defend off the rumbling. They try unsuccessfully. The soldiers on
absolutely shredded.
Soldiers on land basically do the same thing, and it ends with Aaron saying, "I'm going to destroy all. I'm going to wipe out every single one of them." And of course, he's in his horrifying Titan.
He looks like the death birdcage of your nightmares.
Yeah, he's in his final form here. I think we can safely say that this is...
He has become a full-fledged hell beast. Also, where the frick is Zeke? I did not see him fused to Aaron's body anywhere.
But we did not see a very clear shot of Aaron. He was behind everything. So, good question.
So many questions.
He's so massive. Zeke could literally be his rib... Like, we wouldn't know.
Yeah, he'd be.
He has 700 ribs right now.
It's true.
What, would you count?
No.
It's like
I couldn't.
Mathematician.
There's too many.
Okay, what were you going to say earlier? You said talk amongst yourselves.
Okay, so Mako emailed us and said that she wanted to apologize and correct a mistake in the translation for Kuso, the swear. She was thinking of Hanokuso, which means booger, which means like nose poop, basically, right?
Okay.
But Kuso by itself just means poop. So it's
okay.
They're saying like shit,
is poop.
saying crap.
It makes more sense. Okay, so that does translate, but it's like it's
okay. But nose poop as a booger that's great.
That's true.
But we were talking about it's like a universal swear for them because they don't have many of those.
Yeah.
Go listen to the episode. It's actually super interesting because it doesn't just apply to Attack on Titan. It's like anime at large. It covers quite a bit of that. But we do get into like specific phrases they say in the show all the time.
I'm going to say, now that allergy season has officially begun, I'm going to just refer to it as nose poop from now on. Like, I'm sorry, I have nose poop.
I gotta go.
I have nose diarrhea.
Let's talk about this episode. So it starts with something very familiar to this show, which we saw at the beginning of season 4 and season 1, and everyth's a season this and that.
I don't trust anybody anymore.
It starts with the birds. Okay,
always with the birds.
A lot of these kind of like demarcation lines in the story, starting and ending points, have the birds flying in the sky. We've always talked about it's like there's something to do with like freedom, and initially it was kind of this metaphor for getting beyond the walls. So here we are. We have the bird again. I don't really know what to make of it, to be honest. Like, is it? I'm sure it's symbolism, and maybe it doesn't. Like, there's nothing to go into beyond that. But the fact that this one starts out like almost exactly the way that the season 4 episode 1 starts out, to me, like with Falco reaching to the birds.
They even show a flash of him doing that in this episode.
They're tied together, right? This is the recapitulation. I talked about that in a previous episode. At any rate, Mikasa says, everyone says Aaron's changed, and I thought so too, but maybe we were all wrong. Maybe Aaron was this way from the start. And then she asks herself, like, I wonder what it was that I saw in him. And I never
thought I would hear Mikasa say such things. And it hurts me in my soul a little bit.
Yeah,
So,
I mean,
Aaron has truly broken her.
There's
heart.
something to be said about being a young kid and not having the wisdom and the veteran status that comes with age, the intelligence, the wisdom, your defenses. When you're young, you take everything for granted. It's easier to imprint upon a kid. It's easier to influence a young kid because they don't know any better.
Right.
And so a lot of times you grow up thinking something's normal and you realize, oh, wait a second, that's actually not normal. It's just how I grew up. You grow up and you're like, oh yeah, like I love this person even though like we're nothing alike. But when you're a kid, everything just seems different. It's easier to manipulate kids. It's easier to like influence kids.
So you think future Aaron was influencing young Mikasa?
No, no, not at all, actually.
Okay.
I think the opposite. But
young
I think
Mikasa could not see through his bull crap.
I think when you're close to somebody, it's hard to see them objectively. And so maybe she kind of just always was like, oh yeah, Aaron saved me. He's my like protector. She kind of forms this emotional bond and she never really stops to really look at him objectively. And now that she's been pushed away, she looks back at him and goes, wait a second. was he always like this?
Yeah. Well, I think it's an open question as to what she even means by like, were we all wrong? Was he always this way? And right, Aaron actually says that to them. You guys remember the famous table scene? He says, "I am what I've always been." He says that to them. And the open question in my mind is, is this what Aaron, quote, has always been, meaning since the time he kissed Astoria's hand to now, meaning for the last several years he's been this way, right? Because we discovered that more in this episode, and we've seen it again through other flashbacks, that he's been this sort of catatonic, like, not really amused, doesn't really laugh, doesn't really like emote much. He's been that way since,
aside from rage and crying randomly.
Yeah, but like he's been that way for years now. It's been quite a while. In fact, you even see it once you know it's there. Once you know what you're looking for, you even see it at the end of season 3 where he's like pointing. He's like, across the sea, like, don't you kill all them too, basically.
Then can I be free?
Yeah, then can we be free? So what I'm saying, I think it's an open question, is like, has he always been this way? Well, what do you mean by always? Has it been since he got his Titan powers? Has it been since 4 years ago when he kissed her hand and got the memories? Has it been since he was born, since he was little? Because she says, her line is, "I wonder what I saw in him." And I actually, maybe this is a Mako question actually. Does she mean, I wonder what I saw in him, like the way we use it colloquially as English speakers, like, I see something good in you. I know what I saw in this guy. I saw a young man with heart, like, because in that sense, that's an easy question to answer. Like, you saw in him somebody who is brave, someone who told you to stand up and fight and whatever, right? Like, so that would be a confusing way for her to mean it. Or alternatively, she means, I wonder what I saw in him, meaning like she saw something dark, like she saw something like not good in him, and I wonder what that thing was.
Oh,
you see what I'm saying?
I took it the first way. I took it more like,
I do too.
Like how could I not see this now that I'm aware of it? Now I see it more deeply.
But she almost kind of says it like an ex-girlfriend, which, can we just say she basically is at this point? But
unofficially, officially.
I wonder what I ever saw in that douchebag. Is that what she's saying?
He was always trying to kill the world, and we were together. And I
don't freaking know.
No, this is a good point though. Aaron says that to Zeke as well. Zeke's like, Aaron, no, you're different. You got hurt by Grisha. You got influenced by Grisha. And Aaron's like, no, I am who I've always been since birth. Mm-hmm. I came out of the womb like this, with a purpose, focused. You saw the flashes when he killed those people. Like, he's willing to kill everyone to protect the ones he loves, even if it means killing everybody across the sea. And ultimately, at the end of the episode, when they go across the sea, he says, "This is the other side of the sea." And he's kind of catatonic. He's looking around. Everyone's like, "Wow, look at this!" And he's like, I'm gonna have to kill all this. This is the first time he's like coming to grips with.
Yeah, he's gonna have to destroy all the wonders that they're all marveling over.
They're marveling at, wow. And I think,
and all the happy people.
I don't think he could have understood when he said that. Mm-hmm. I mean, I know he had the vision and everything. He had some of his dad's memories, but I don't think he could have truly understood. Yeah. When you're raised on a small town, the first time you go to a big city, you're like, oh yeah. The it's first time you go to LA or you go to Chicago or you go to New York or you see a giant mountain, you go, whoa, right? It's so much bigger than you could have ever imagined. Mm-hmm. Yeah. He's talking about killing everyone not on the island, but the island is so small compared to the entire world, and he's having to come to grips with that. Yeah, he's having the first time.
A different kind of shock because they're all, the rest of them, like, so that's the next scene here is they show up at the port, right? They show up in the city, which they don't say that this is Liberio. They say this is Marley's biggest port. It actually looks like it's not Liberio to me because of the.
Oh, it's not Liberio.
Yeah. So at any rate, they show up and like everyone else is shocked, like but they're actually having what you're talking about. They're like, oh my gosh, like this big wide world that I've never seen before, which is a real thing. I feel like it's a real. Okay, I was gonna say, like, have you ever been in New York City but you didn't grow up? Like, I grew up on the West Coast, so I grew up with like giant trees and mountains and whatever. I grew up in Oregon. It's like that's not surprising to me. I'm a little jaded, like the ocean, all this like epic scenery. I love it, and I'm like used to it. But showing up in New York City and being like, oh my gosh, these are freaking buildings that are this big. Like that was like, I actually had that experience. I've had it a few times where you're kind of like overwhelmed, and you definitely, it does something to you where it turns you into like, how they're kind of all acting like kids for a second. Like it's definitely like that. You're like
wonderment.
Yeah, you're kind of like overwhelmed with it. But Aaron is the only one who's not overwhelmed with that. What he's overwhelmed with is when he goes, oh, crap. Like I'm gonna rumble all these people.
He's spacing out. Is this the port that they're all headed to with the airship?
It doesn't sound like it because she made it sound like it was a small one.
Well, no, I think it is. I think it's the same port because remember they said they're gonna go to a specific port that's close to the Azumabitos.
Yeah, and they had a compound there in that port where they were.
Anya Capone leads
port,
them.
Okay, hang on. I'm confused, I guess, because they don't really they need to name places in the show. Okay, so there's the port that they're headed to. There's the port that we see in the flashback, and then there's the port at the end that's getting destroyed. Are they all the same place? I think
they're all the same place. That's what I'm saying.
Oh.
I'm pretty sure.
Okay, but if they're all the same place, that means
it's not. What do you mean?
Not
all
the same port?
All the same.
Meaning, like each port. Where I'm talking about, they mentioned 3 different ports, but they're actually all the same port. So the port that everybody's headed to right now has already been destroyed by Aaron.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Obviously,
they were trying to beat the rumbling to a certain port,
yes.
and I was just wondering if it's the same port from the flashback.
Because if that's the case, it's like, well, scrap that plan. Like you're just way too freaking late now. I guess. I don't know. Well, at any rate, let's get back to the topic at hand here. So
yeah, I was looking for them to name it, and they didn't name it. They said, "Welcome to Marley's largest port,"
which I'm thinking, if I don't remember, but I know that the Azumobitos own a large hangar in a certain port, and I can't remember if she said it was Marley's largest port or not.
Yeah, I don't know.
I guess we'll have to go back and check.
It's the largest port in Marley. They don't name the city. I was looking for them to name the city. They don't name it.
Oh, yeah. The port they're headed to is
Odia. That's right.
Odia. They did name it.
That's right.
I mean,
that's the one they're headed to.
It's not the same port. It's the same one in the flashback.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense to me.
All right.
But the one that the episode ends on is the one from the flashback.
Yes. I think that's established.
Because you recognize the port from both
scenes,
so that is the same.
Yeah. So like the idea is it's
know
bookends.
where
It's like Aaron visited this place, and now here we are, like
starting
a little while
out
later, and now he's destroying this place.
Yeah.
So I think that's the whole like contrast, which this episode does a lot of that. In fact, so the boat thing in general, like she's Mikasa's on the boat, like headed for Marley in real time, and then she flashes back to the last time she was on a boat headed for Marley with the crew, right? And that's where the flashback like picks up. It's like they're on the boat like headed for, and they're like they're talking about how that's right. They have this interesting conversation about like, hey, it's Connie and them, and they're like, hey, don't talk about the walls, in public. Like they're and
then Sasha immediately loudly talks about the walls.
Yes, like on a mission, like, hey, let's be super discreet or whatever, and then they're not discreet at all for the entire time they're there.
And then she proceeds to lose her mind about literally every little thing, like the car.
Dude, it's hard.
And then Hanjay loses her mind about the car. They try to feed it carrots.
They decided to take Sasha. Okay, I love Sasha. If it comes to Titan killing time, like I'm bringing her. But if it comes time to like be discreet, especially if
you want to be stealthy, you cannot bring Connie or Sasha or Jean for that matter.
Well, Jean was playing it cool.
If Jean's by himself, okay. But if he's anywhere near Connie or Sasha,
I think that
no ice cream, quiet will happen.
I think the ice cream did it for him because he was like, play
he
it
was
cool,
screaming
play it cool, and then he found the ice cream and
about
was like,
the ice cream.
Gosh, because he couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
You can't keep your wonderment in, man. When you see things for the first time, you're like, whoa, I can't believe this exists. My small imagination could never have imagined this was true.
Yeah. Okay. Hanjay says a cool line here too, where she says, "This takes us back to our original mission. Let's go scout." She's like, "Let's go do some scouting," and I'm like.
Poor Erwin. I wish he was there.
He should have had some of that ice cream, damn it.
He should have. It's hard to like I feel all the feels here, and it's hard to not just be like, man, and those jaded thing ever, like Isayama, you did this to me. Like I see this and I'm like, I know what's about to happen next. You're making me feel good for a second so you can slap me down and make everything go to hell. I'm like, it's horrible. But at any rate, so the Irish folk music, can we talk about that for a second?
I loved it, man.
Yeah.
It was actually nice. I love...
it gives you kind of an American feel a little bit, too.
Yeah. But I just love that there's like a... What am I trying to say? There's like a very generalized... Everything in the show pulls from reality, like a little bit. And that like Marley is just like a general version of Europe, basically. You know what I mean? It's not England. It's not Germany. It's not quite any like... one place, but it's just kind of like Western civilization. But there's also Asian, Eastern civilization, and then there's even like a Mid-Eastern, North African sort of like they like assimilate some of that stuff. But he does it really well. Like he makes you. It's kind of like in movies where they have to like create an off-brand of something where you know which brand they're trying to like kind of be, but they change it just enough to be like, oh yeah, this is like it belongs to this universe that this happens in. Anyway.
Yeah, Interpol says it's like Turkish.
Yeah, Turkish, Moroccan, something like that. Okay, so they meet up with Anya Capone and he's like, hey, I'm going to take you to the Osmobito estate. Remember, we kind of talked about this while we were watching the first time. This point, they've already met Anya Capone. They've already had the volunteers. They've already had, all of the kind of like events of the in-between years that we've seen in flashbacks have already taken place. So this is sort of the end of that like era, basically. And yeah, they see the car and they're like, oh, I made me laugh really hard, actually. Like, oh, they're going to feed the carrots. He's like, don't be silly. Oh my gosh, they're buying carrots. Like, they're actually doing it.
Which is goofy because if you've seen a like railroad engine,
which they have,
your car wouldn't be that far of a stretch. It's the people who never have seen a railway who see a car that go like, it's a horseless carriage,
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay. So Jean gets all awkward. They have this whole like, oh, they're gonna think that we're bumpkins, which you kind of are. Let's be honest. And then Mikasa says to Eren, "Hey, stay close to me." And again, he's already in his like.
He's acting like an Alzheimer patient. He's just like staring off.
He's
into
already
space.
being weirdo. And okay, this
Levi's sassy.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Levi says, "Quit spacing out."
Stay with the group.
Stay with the group, especially you. Is that where he says it to him? Yeah. He says, especially you. And he's looking at Eren. And, like, Levi's kind of always right about things.
He is.
And you know how he's, like, always really rough with Eren? Mm-hmm. Like, he'll kind of, like, he's on his team. He'll save his butt. He'll do what he needs to. But he has this inherent mistrust of kind of everybody.
Especially the Jaegers.
Especially the Jaeger bros. No, and it's like, and it's justified. His mistrust of Zeke is always justified. I don't know why anybody ever stops to think, okay, no, this time Zeke means it. Like, he never does. He's always a manipulator. So I just have to wonder if this is going to play into it. You think like Levi knows. Levi's had a hunch. Everyone else was fooled, but Levi's the one going, not so sure. I think this might be the bad guy now that he does these things that he does. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I think
Levi, Hanji, Erwin, like they've been the kind of perpetual big brother, matriarch type figures.
Yeah.
And they've almost always been right.
Yes.
Like there's been times they've got it wrong, but it's like typically if Levi's saying it, you should just follow him. You should just do it. His instincts are correct. And sure enough, Eren sneaks out.
Yeah.
Good comment. They're like, I love this break from the craziness and despair
of
the whole
carnage
season.
Of all the rest
it's the happy
of it.
break this episode gives us. It's very true.
Yeah, the tension's in the back of your mind, but you get to at least like see people laugh and have fun for a second. Okay, so
until the end,
we get to this pickpocket kid. They show him for a second, then they do the ice cream thing. The ice cream thing is where it really goes off the rails because everybody starts eating it. And then it's like, look how happy they are. And Mikasa's like, Eren, you should try this. And he's like...
Also, what the frick is with the clown?
Oh, yeah. The clown.
The clown, I think he thinks Levi
is a kid because he's so short.
So, yeah, because he's so short. He's like,
oh, you dressed up as a gangster kitty or something like that?
What's creepy, he acts like a Titan.
Yeah.
He's on the stilts or whatever. He comes behind him. And he's like,
I'm talking.
You want some of my sweet candy? But he's Japanese, amai candy. And you're like, don't say that. It's gross. And then he's like, I'm talking to you. He whispers, dude, if a clown ever says anything like that to any of my kids, like it's going to be a reckoning, okay? There's going to be a rumbling in that man's face. It is the creepiest thing in the entire world. And I think Yelena would have been like creeped out by that clown, okay? And Levi just like casually turns around
and he's like, what is your problem, man?
Reminds me of a certain American president. Anyway, so they do the whole ice cream thing. Okay, wait a second though.
So then Mikasa gives ice cream to Eren right after the clown thing.
Yeah, but is the clown thing a gag? Is it actually just a gag, or is there just a I'm always reading in everything like, is this guy a spy? Like, did he know?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Is he gonna come back around later on?
Zeke, or something.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. I was like, oh, it's somebody really tall. Like,
it was Yelena. Wow, no.
See, it could have been though.
Charlock, don't edit Yelena's face on the clown's head, please.
No, I think somebody needs to.
Didn't you say when we were watching the show, is that Yelena?
Yeah. Well, we kind of are always wondering which character is like secretly in the background because it happens so often.
There's actually a manga panel where Isayama draws Pennywise into the crowd. Gross.
Oh, God.
No.
I remember hearing about that. He's like a fan of that whole.
Yeah, the clown's actually the secret 10th Titan you guys didn't know about.
Oh, dude.
It's canon now. It's canon.
Well, hey, what's her name? killed Aaron's mom. Can't say her name
Yeah.
right now.
Dinah Fritz looked like a clown.
She looked like a clown as a
true
Titan.
story.
Just paint her face white.
Maybe this is like a callback to the Dinah Fritz.
She looks kind of Pennywise-ish.
Yeah, I would say so. So Levi's thinks the one talking about this, saying, "Hey, like I told them not to stand out, and like here it is happening." Who makes this comment? Somebody, maybe it's Levi who says this. He says that, but this isn't the kind of thing that's going to make them think we're island devils.
It was Hanjay that said that.
Yeah, they're freaking over the ice cream, and the shopkeeper, he's laughing. He's like, "Oh, it's the first time you've had ice cream," and they're all losing it. And she goes, "Yeah, but it's anyone who sees this is not going to be like, oh, you wicked island devil. It's the novelty and the innocence that everyone can relate to."
Yeah, because they only, you still have to think, especially at this point, the only idea they have of people from paradise is that they're quote island devils. They've never met one. They've never seen one. They have no clue except that what the propaganda has been telling them. So. All right, this is for the ice cream thing.
Mikasa's blushing.
Mikasa's blushing. She hands Aaron the ice cream. And he says, "Well, not everyone. Basically, it's rare for people in the LDN like internment zones to have ice cream." And I'm like looking at this, and I'm trying to figure Aaron this whole time. I'm trying to think like, what is he thinking right here? What's going on in his mind? Because he says that, and my initial thought is to be like, oh yeah, well, see, he actually cares about the people in the internment zones because he has these memories of his dad being in one and what would have been his aunt being killed. And this whole, he has a distaste for, they're stuck behind walls and that whole bit. And I've been wondering this really since we saw it in Liberio, since he killed people in Liberio in general. I had a theory at the time that Aaron was going to write, that Aaron's kind of deal was to essentially raise up a new Eldian nation, but from across the world, and unite Eldians and go and free them from every internment zone, have them rise up and do this rebellion. Remember, I don't know if I talked about it probably just a little bit, but I just kind of had this idea that's what this is all about. Is he's going to try and get the Eldians to rise up, and the whole thing's going to end up in a giant world war and whatever. So again, this line makes me go back to my, obviously I know it's not true, but it makes me go back to his original theory of that's what he's trying to do. Is he actually cares about the other Eldians and stuff in the world. But I guess we haven't seen it happen yet. Yeah, anything's possible. We got some show left to go, but that doesn't seem to be the case. And the same thing when he shows up at the tent and the people, the kind of refugee town or whatever. It looks like he's being compassionate and he cares, but then he doesn't really freaking care. He's planning to kill all these people. What is going on with him?
I think he cares about his close circle of friends, the people that he's close to, and nobody else. He kind of pulls an Annie and goes, "I'm willing to sacrifice the people that you're close to for the person that I'm close to. I'm willing to do what I need to violate your family so I can get back to my family." And as wrong as that is, that's usually how people live their lives, is putting them and their families first over everybody else.
Yeah.
There's very few philosophies that would say, hey, that's actually not right. Let's not all be selfish. Let's try to put the needs of others first and love your neighbor and so on and so forth. But I think that is most people's instincts. We've had some pretty crazy times the last 2 years where everyone freaks out and buys all the stuff out of the store, and you're like, oh, so it's all every man for himself,
Right.
It's the people in those times that are checking on their family and say, hey, do you guys have the toilet paper you need? Hey, do you have the food you need? Hey, when we had wildfires that were coming up here, and the smoke was incredibly bad.
We've had a crazy run of it for 2 years here in Oregon.
The smoke was actually the worst smoke on the earth. It was better to be in what's that town in China that always has the smog issues?
I don't know if it's Shanghai. It's one of the major. I don't know if it's Beijing. It's one that's famous.
It was better to be in the worst, smoggiest, most polluted town in China than it was to
or Los
be in
Angeles
Oregon.
In America.
Or exactly.
You can see the air pollution there.
But when that happened, a lot of people were like, oh, crap, things are getting crazy. Birds are flying away. Animals are fleeing, because the smoke was coming, and it was crazy, and everyone was freaking out. The sky was dark. It felt like an apocalypse.
It was orange.
For sure.
It felt like a horror movie. Everyone was, getting their stuff and getting out, right? And so they were driving, to Washington, and they were driving to other places. And it just felt like every man was for himself. And so the people that were, checking on me, people were calling me, I was like, okay, these people are my family. These people are people that actually care.
Yeah.
And if the world could be more like that, I think that would be much better than everybody just I will kill you and everybody else.
So maybe this is Aaron's conflict then in himself, where he's like, I care, but I don't. Like, I'm still gonna murder these people because I have to. Like, is that like, I don't know. I'm just not sure. So Bokassa kind of narrates again here at the end of this clip.
The same as Reiner.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah,
more than we thought. Like, he has to go do something. He's like, isn't pretty, but
Reiner thought he was saving the world, but really he was just trying to like kind of be accepted. Mm-hmm. But Aaron does think he's saving the world.
I think the ice cream thing also kind of like, in a way, like I could be reading too much into this, but when he's looking at it, he's talking about how he looks through his dad's memories and he's like, this is ice cream. In my dad's memories, this is rare even for people behind the wall because they're still behind a wall. And he's thinking about how if he doesn't do what he's planning to do, people are still going to be living behind walls all over the world.
Yeah.
And the hate's going to continue. And
maybe that's the point, is you're saying, like, the cycle.
Yeah.
And that he thinks, well, they're going to die, but at least the cycle's over.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not peaceful and kind to kill people so they don't have to struggle.
He even says it to his story later. We can get to that later. But
I mean, how is this any different or less bad than Zeke's plan, right? Zeke's plan was to wipe out an entire race. His plan is to just wipe out the entire world.
Here come the monkey boys in the chat. Here they come. They go, Zeke was right. He's actually the more peaceful plan. It's actually the more kind. Yeah.
Zeke, okay. We have
these Jaegers, man. Both of them.
Flock. We have the Jaegerists. Is there one for just Zeke? Is there one for like Zeke?
I think the Monkey Boys, right?
Zeke's Freaks.
Zeke's Freaks. Okay, Zeke's Freaks.
Zeke was right. There it is. There he goes.
I knew it was coming.
Yeah.
Okay, so Bokassa comes back in and narrates here, and she says, none of us realized that this was, basically who Aaron was, or maybe we just didn't want to. And again, interesting point to be made there because, this does kind of happen, like. You have a family member. This is an odd example, but you have a family member who is coming down with like a serious like mental, like a cognitive decline type of thing. It's personal experience, but like it can be hard to be the first one to kind of bring that up. Like, hey, is this a serious issue? Can we all, the rest of us here in the family, like admit like something, something's wrong, and our family member needs help. You know what I mean? Like it's hard to see that. It's amazing how difficult, even if the symptoms are very obvious, it's amazing how difficult it is to like just admit it and then like open up and say, hey, something's like off here. And so I'm almost wondering that's kind of like Bokassa's angle is like, none of us really wanted to talk about it because we just thought, no, like it's just a phase. It's just they had excuses in their head because they liked Aaron, they loved him even, and so they just didn't want to see the fact that he was not what they thought he was. Yeah.
Someone made a comment earlier that like Bokassa was taught by Aaron to like be violent to protect herself or whatever. That kind of what saved her, and that allowed her to like kind of overlook why is he so violent as a 10-year-old or whatever it is. Why did he like not bat an eye to murder these people?
Yeah,
and didn't shed a tear over it.
All right, I see where you're going with that.
You kind of overlook that a little bit.
Every time Armin's in any kind of trouble, his first instinct is just to start pounding the crap out of everyone.
Start fighting. And then he even pounds the crap out of Armin later on. Like, violence is Aaron's first form of communication.
He should have joined a gang. He'd be good at it.
Okay. Rachel, what's the question for you? Becca's not here right now. And in those who are attracted to males in the chat.
Okay.
Ideal male. Somebody who's taller than you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Somebody who is...
For me, anyway. Not everybody feels that way.
Right, but I feel like a lot of people, you guys can answer these yourselves. Someone that's taller than you. Somebody that is not necessarily like jacked, but like decently athletic.
Mm-hmm.
Someone that is good at sports.
That's not as important to me.
Yeah, but girls love... Okay, wait, but like... At least when I was in high school, girls loved the skinny drummer
smart
in the band,
more important.
So like everyone's got their thing.
Don't try to put yourself over here, okay?
I'm just saying.
Okay, and then do you like guys with hairy chest or no hairy chest?
I like the hairy.
So you like Zeke Jaeger. So just admit it to everybody right now, okay? Just admit it.
He's like a sex idol or something.
I don't care about his super awesome sport.
Okay,
but he does have a beard, and I do like beards.
Okay,
I don't want to miss Nate's comment here because I actually think it's like
Nate's actually doing good work. Thanks, Nate.
Yeah, actually, all right.
No, I mean like I'm just messing around.
Oh yeah, he's the one actually doing it. Okay, so he's saying he thinks Aaron's. This is what he's saying. He's speaking for Aaron here. Like his belief is that the rest of the world, quote, made their choice when the nations and their governments and leaders decided to put all their blame on the island.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he says kind of at the end, he says, so while he's killing them, they were still given a choice. Zeke's plan completely removes choice from the Eldians and their future children. I'm not saying Aaron's plan is correct, but I think it is a mental justification. Yeah, I think that's a pretty astute like point.
Yeah, and we have even more evidence in this episode that they tried to work it out. He tries to go to this meeting.
Yes, they all did. They all go to that thing. Okay, we'll get to that in a second. We're almost there. Okay.
Levi catches the thief.
Levi catches the thief. This is an interesting one as well. I feel like there might be more here than we know.
And we get to hear all the racist comments.
Christian said, Christian said earlier that actually this boy is in a flashback of one of the memory shards
I recognized him.
of the Two Brothers episode, and everyone was like, "No, this is a young Zeke, or this is a somebody," and they couldn't figure out.
Yeah, the cat.
Yeah, so this boy is in that. And so he's there in the Two Brothers episodes.
Okay.
And now it finally comes out who he is.
Now we're actually seeing
Great catch, bro.
So Levi catches this kid and he says, "That ain't your purse." And it's, Sasha's missing her little coin purse. And they immediately start going after him like, "Oh, it's the enemy migrant, right?"
We need to crush his hand and teach him a lesson. I'm like, okay.
Tie him up.
Throw him into the sea. Tie him up so that everybody can see him. We got to make an example of him. And so
it's really messed up, Dan.
So we've seen this.
Okay, but not necessarily. Honestly, I'm not trying to defend killing the kid.
He's a child.
He's a child, yes. But I'm just saying, in this time, in this socioeconomic sphere, think about Aladdin. When you steal, they cut off your hand.
Yeah.
That's how they taught kids not to steal, right? That's obviously, that's not a great way of fixing things.
That is the worst way to teach a child anything.
I'm not justifying it. I'm just saying it makes sense for this time period. That is a normal thing they would do.
Say that, yeah.
They would say that.
Well, and so it's a part of what they're building here is they're building the Marley world a little bit more because... Right, season 3, we discover there's such a thing as Marley, and we discover they can be pretty horrible people because they're like guards are killing kids and they keep people in internment zones, and there's that whole like
they make
theme.
Child soldiers.
So this is no surprise at all, and so
they don't care about kids, yeah.
And guess who shows up? But our favorite racist Mario.
Racist Mario.
Hey, somebody. Yeah.
It looks just like him. Maybe it's not because Zeke.
It's him.
Well, because Zeke was a little boy when Racist Mario was there. So maybe it's Racist Mario's grandson.
Okay, but did you ever see Back to the Future? Doc looks the same throughout the whole...
That's true.
It's
true.
Racist Mario. Did you guys catch him?
Once you look... Okay, you have to think of it. Like, I think it's really a thing. So everybody has a certain age where they hit that age and they seem to stay that age for a long time
like 20 years.
No, it happens all the time because there's just people where like... They kind of age and go through their normal phases. They change over, every 10 years or so. But then they hit like 50, but they look like they're 50 all the way through until they're like 75. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they just look old, but they look old for like a long time. If you go gray early, when they go gray early, usually that's how it works. Like, they just have looked old for forever. Like your grandparents, like, man, you've looked old for 40 years. Like, what the heck? But there's also baby facers, who are like, they hit like 17, 18, 19, 20, somewhere in there. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, join the crew. Like, people card me all the time. I'm like, yeah, it's been a minute. But like, we look young, but we're like, I feel like I hit about 20 or so, and I looked basically, you find pictures of me when I was like 20. Maybe I'll have to dig some up, but I swear my life looked exactly the same. That was a while ago.
It's weird. I run into people, not a lot, but every so often that I went to high school with, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, you look the same," and I was like, "I do."
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a good thing.
I look pretty similar. I feel like I don't look exactly the same, but I look pretty much the same for the last 10 years. Yeah, if I shaved, I'd look a lot closer.
Plus, you had kids, so that changes things.
Yeah, we are a bunch of babies.
So, all right. What was I going to say? Racist Mario's there. Okay. It makes sense that even he's there, so why I'm like, oh, no, it's definitely him, is because they're trying to make this point. Like, this is the society that they're in.
It's a bad society.
They hate foreigners, and they suspect this foreigner of being an Eldian. Because they're like, right, they've been doing these blood tests. Somebody mentioned that to us ages ago when we were like, how do they know?
Yeah, it's weird that a port town is suspicious of foreigners.
Well, no.
Like, you're a port.
I see.
You're the largest port in Marley. Why are you so racist?
True.
You bastards.
The problem is everyone's on edge because these devils could be amidst us. They've been doing these blood tests. They've been finding out, wait, my best friend who I knew since I was a kid, he's got part, or Eldian blood.
They say that. They said people can't sleep at night knowing there might be devils in our midst, which is so like, that's the of the like Eldian racist things people say on the show. That one's got to be up there. That's like one of the worst. Like, I can't even sleep knowing there might be one near me. Like, geez.
Which is, I mean,
Levi reads the room and quickly thinks like he does.
Yeah.
And he just picks up the kid like he's luggage, starts walking off with him.
Come here.
He's like, I didn't say he was a thief. I said, that's not your purse. And then Hanjay like picks right up on what he's dropping.
Yep.
And
Sasha's acting skills could use some work here.
They try and, make it seem like he's her little brother, which is hilarious because his skin is an entirely different shade than hers. But they go along with it anyways. And then racist Mario says, I smelled bullshit. And then they run. They just run.
Yeah.
This timeline. Okay, yeah. So this is a great point, Sean. They're saying that this is probably around the same time they're at war. Marley's at war with the Mideast Empire.
Yeah.
Ooh,
so that's why there's these
refugees.
And that's why there's...
They said that were refugees. They did.
And the kid who was in the warrior program who got killed in Liberio.
Udo, right?
Udo, yeah. He was from that place.
Oh.
He's from the Mideast or from...
From that port?
I don't know if he was from that port, but his people were from the Mideast. They were captured.
Okay.
So everyone's sketched out during war. It makes you very xenophobic.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of... Yeah. And again, like, STM is obviously like a student of history. Like, all this stuff is very... de rigueur, I guess, for what happens in history. Like, this is how these things actually play out. So it makes sense. Okay, so he runs off with the kid. They make this big scene. They do this act or whatever, and then one of the guys like, I smell BS. Like, this isn't... I'm like, yeah, I would too if this was playing out in front of me. I'd be like, this looks like a scam. I would be thinking, these foreigners are all in cahoots together. I'd be thinking, this definitely is like a freaking place.
They're trying to con us. I was surprised that Levi didn't try to fight everybody. He just ran. I was ready for like Levi and Mikasa to like just throw everybody down.
But they can't blow their cover.
They have their ODM gear on them for some reason. They're just like flying around slicing people.
I like how they run and everybody else runs, and I'm like, nobody else knew you guys were together.
He just says, let's go, and they all just take off.
You guys are the most ragtag
freaking spies.
Yeah, they're terrible spies.
Like, they needed some training from
They're
Elena.
like, hyperventilating in some random alley somewhere. And then the kid thanks Levi for saving his life and his hand by taking his money.
He's like, where'd that brat go? And he's waving at him.
And he's smiling and waving as he climbs over some random wall.
Gosh.
Okay.
What a little punk.
I don't know if I cut his hand off, but this kid does need some
He
spanking.
needs a definite spanking.
This is not okay. You cannot just take people's stuff and then laugh
his
and mock them on your
father
way
needs
out.
to be punched directly in the face for not teaching his child manners.
I think they were in that mode where you steal, you starve. So it's sad.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, they're refugees, and they're refugees that are like obviously
hated. But then we catch up with that kid later, and everything's fine. Sasha tries to force feed him some alcohol.
Yeah, Sasha's like making him
trying to get justice. Trying to be like, you want to be adult? This is what it's really like.
Yeah. Steal a drink of this.
So they meet up with the Madame Kiyomi.
Yes,
right? Lady Kiyomi.
Yes, Lady Azumabito.
Which Mako just explained to us that it's what Azuma is people, right? And then the people of a place called
Bito means people.
Oh,
Bito means people.
People of a place called
people of
Azuma.
Azuma.
Okay, which is really
Azumi.
cool. Something like that. So they hang out. So they meet with them and they talk about this new. So they're doing blood tests, right? They're saying blood tests have improved across the world, and people have been doing these tests. They've been doing them more aggressively, more rapidly, to find. She says specifically subjects of Ymir who fled internment zones and war zones, right? So they've like somehow gotten out. They've gotten out into the population, which,
yeah.
Of course, it's going to happen. So they're trying to come up with a way to combat this.
It's even more so propagated by the fact that the Eldians used to do interbreeding, and so
forced interbreeding.
Nobody knew exactly whose daddy was who.
Right. She says at the height of the Eldian Empire, being an Eldian was actually a sign of
It was like
being
a
elite.
status symbol.
A status symbol. But once the empire crumbled, they were exiled all over the world. And so, again, kind of an interesting, such a interesting point there. It's like, so they were like Rome, like they kind of ruled the world, it sounds like.
Mm-hmm.
And then as they started to fall apart, people were like, yeah, you were the oppressors. So we're going to we hate you.
You suck now.
You're capable of turning into these monsters. So with that in mind, we're going to freaking...
oppression. But it's interesting. It used to be like a sign of the elite. Yes, I have blood of the LD, and I'm a subject of Ymir. And now it's like, don't tell anybody that you're a dirty, subject.
You're a dirty, rotten Ymirian. And yeah, she says, such is life for Eldians. And then she gets to the main point here. She says it's going to be difficult for Paradise to establish a peaceful relationship with these other nations. She's being a bit of a realist here, which is, hey, these people only have one view of you. Now, they hate regular Eldians that they've known, that they've seen in these internment zones for years. You from the island, it's going to be very difficult. And they get in this really interesting conversation. She says, if we give up on peace, or giving up on peace means that we have to follow Zeke and his plans, right? So for the rumbling, and then we have to sacrifice Historia and her children. And they don't know all the things Aaron knows, but they are already, that's what I think this episode is doing, is they're already explaining, like, listen, the alternative to trying to sort this out with everybody is full-on war with the world. And it's like Aaron's already made up his mind. He's already there. He's like, no, there's not an alternative. It's just war with the world. And either they win or we win. So the only way I can see it is I got to go win.
Yeah.
And I have a way, so I'm going to go make it happen.
Yep.
I think. Anyway.
I think so.
So, yeah, they're discussing their plans. She seems to be willing to support them to try to find peace, but she definitely doesn't think it's going to work.
Yeah. So she questions that, and they talk about, okay, well, they're going to have a group. There's a group called the Subjects of Ymir Protection Group or something like that. And, Hanji's all hopeful. She says, yeah, if they seem promising and want to speak with us, she says, you're going to tell them that the island seeks peace. And she's like, yeah, that is exactly what we're going to say. And she's like, listen, Asmodeus are happy to help. And, we're always here for you, but what are the chances of success? She goes, well, I know it's going to be difficult and it's going to be dangerous, but it is our best shot. She's a hero. This is what heroic people actually do, by the way.
You got to try for peace. You got to try for the best outcome. Absolutely.
Heroic people do dangerous and they do difficult. That's what heroic actually means. So next time somebody's like, oh, so-and-so's a hero because they said something online that's kind of just a standard semi-popular opinion, no, they're freaking not.
Not a hero.
You're not a hero, okay? That's not what that means, okay? To be a hero would be to go against popular opinion for starters, right? To say something that could actually put your life in danger. That's what heroism actually is, and it's on the one hand, it's we call things heroic these days that are absolutely not. So it's not common at all. And on the other hand, true heroism is way more common than we think in history. Like lots of people have had to die heroes that we'll never know their names. It's not about being famous. It's about like
Keith Sadie's.
Kind of like Keith Sadie's and Magath, yeah.
Yeah. Seriously, that's hero. I love that
going
this show
down with the ship and no one's ever gonna know.
Yeah. That's real heroism.
And yeah. So while they're discussing all of that, Aaron disappears. And Mikasa finds him. He apparently, sometimes when you know something that other people don't know and it weighs heavily on you, you just need to sneak away and cry a lot.
Where did Aaron go?
So he just kind of like disappears from that little meeting that they're having.
I think he's just made up his mind. He's like, the peace isn't going to happen.
It's not worth talking about.
So he's going off to cry because he's sad.
It's looking at the moon. I feel like this is a callback. I can't remember exactly.
Him and Reiner and Armin when they did their night operations.
And looking at the moon.
Mm-hmm. And when things were more simple before he knew things.
Take me back to season 3.
And when they were, trying to get him on his ODM gear so that he could stay. So it was him and Bertolt. And was it Armin?
At night, yeah.
The 4 of them went off and had their moonlight operations.
That's right.
Yeah.
He's probably thinking about Reiner and Bertolt a lot. this whole time, because
I think so.
he has this plan and he knows that he's going to destroy all these people and they're just like him. And he's heartbroken over it, and it's sad. So he's crying as he stares at the moon, thinking about Reiner telling him, I believe you're going to do it. Because that was the first time Eren said, I'm going to crush all my enemies and destroy all the Titans and end all of this suffering. And Reiner's like, I believe you're going to do it.
Okay,
and the way he's going to do it is by destroying civilization and burning it to the ground.
But remember, Eren even said this himself, that like wherever Kruger said this, and then Eren kind of reiterated it at a different point in season 3, where they talk about the Attack Titan fights for freedom wherever it goes. And I just don't see how that lines up with what's happening right now. Although it's fighting for somebody's freedom, but he actually, I don't know, we've already talked about this ad nauseum. Like, to establish freedom for yourself, like, there's essentially taking away somebody else's chance for freedom in the process. If they're the ones doing the oppressing, they're the ones doing the taking away the freedom, you have to deny them their freedom at some level in order to, like, establish freedom for others. So, I don't know.
Yeah, he feels in his heart this is truly the just thing to do, whether it is or it's not.
Yeah, whether it actually is or
also,
not.
I think he probably knows that this is going to be the last time that he's happy with his friends before everything goes down the toilet.
Which is why he does the drinking
thing. He's crying, and then Mikasa finds him, and then he's like, who am I to you?
Again, his crying looks like a compassion thing. Like, he's looking down at these, like, poor people who are refugees of war. And he says it, all right? So let's get into it. The next line, Mikasa finds him. He's crying over there by himself. She's like, oh, you know that you are the primary target for the enemy, and we were all looking for you. And he wipes a tear from his face. And they see the boy from the market. She says, oh, it's the kid from the market. And she says, what happened? He goes, nothing yet. Mm-hmm. Which seems to me like these people are going to get crushed by the rumbling.
Yeah.
Is what he's thinking.
Or does he mean a party's about to happen?
I hope so, but what I'm saying is, like, he's crying over these people, like, so don't kill them. How about that? It seems like a fairly simple calculation in my head, but
I think he's probably also remembering back when he had been driven from his home and he was a refugee after the walls got kicked in. So he's looking at all these people who've been displaced from their homes, and he's remembering
because he says
what it feels like to be a 12-year-old kid, like the one who stole the money with no home and no parents, and you're just on your own scrapping,
He's being sympathetic to them in the same way he's being sympathetic to the ice cream thing, like where the Eldians in the internment zones don't get ice cream, Like, he's being sympathetic. But why? Why bother? What difference does it make? You're going to freaking crush them anyway.
Yeah, I think he's seeing the pain in the world, and he's saying, like, in order to kind of stop people from oppressing other people, I'm going to kill everybody so that no more oppression can happen. And it's sad. Maybe it grieves him.
I don't know.
But I think he is relating to them as refugees, because he goes, their lives changed just like our lives on day one. Like, they were without home. Somebody stole their freedoms, is what he says.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, this is a place for people who lost their home to war. It's like us. Their lives changed. Everything was taken from us. Our freedom was... He mentions freedom. Our freedom was stolen from us. And then I get to the interpersonal stuff. He asks Mikasa, why do you care about me so much? Is it because I saved you, or is it because we're family? What am I to you? She, like, hesitates, and
she's blushing, and,
Yeah, and she says,
freezes.
She's your family.
Your family.
The question is...
Wrong answer!
I don't think Mikasa's torn between those two answers. I think she's torn between your family and you're, like, the love of my life, right? Am I wrong?
Yeah, I think she's struggling. I think she, remember, like, anyone ever says, she's like, no, we're family.
Everyone calls him the man she loves, and she gets offended and blushes, and she's like, no, he's family.
She doesn't want to admit it.
She just friend zoned him. She's like,
no, it's not real, though. She wants to be more than that, but she's not willing to, like, deal with it.
Friend zoning herself.
So she's like, well, we are family. And then I think she's like, but maybe we could be more than that. But then friggin' homeboy shows up.
Old man with the coffee.
Yeah. Turkish coffee, yeah.
Except for his voice. He's got the weirdest...
Yeah,
they just kind of keep talking, though, like, as he's holding the tray, and then Jean interrupts, and he's like, what the hell are you doing? And Eren says, perfect timing.
Yeah, they all show up, and
so then
I love that this,
they have
like,
a feast.
Moment to, like, get mad at Eren turns into... Let's all get drunk together with these people who don't speak our language.
Yeah.
And just have a good time for the night,
and boy, do they. They have a hoot.
Yeah, I love Eren's the first one to drink.
A hoot.
And he's like, yep, carry on.
That's where you get drunk on moonshine. You have a hoot. Sorry, I'm a hillbilly.
Is that where it started?
How old are you?
Shh. I mean, there are children. A hootenanny. That's what you call a hootenanny.
We're going to have us a hootenanny.
Sure.
What other old terms can we come up with?
When that boy rolls up with that coffee, you know
that's
something good's going to happen.
That's what hoot is short for, is hootenanny.
And it looked as if, to me, that the liquids that they pour to them may have been a type of wine.
Or maybe some liquor.
Maybe sake.
I believe it's more like a moonshine. I believe
or
it is
moonshine.
more
It looked
like
more. It gave me moonshine vibes for sure.
Because they pour that man a small glass, he drinks it, and immediately feels a little roll.
Aaron is drunk instantly.
Chat/email. We need your opinions on this. Okay, what? Because I actually don't know the answer to this. What is it with people who look like these people? What would their drink be? Right? If they're kind of Middle Eastern. Turkish, Moroccan, something of that variety.
It probably wouldn't be sake.
What's their alcohol choice?
Because that's Japanese.
I actually don't know the answer. Obviously, wine to some extent.
Yeah, I was thinking hooch, Paris.
A little bit of that hooch.
Maybe Middle Eastern rum? Is there?
I don't know. I don't know what they drink over there.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I can think of like every nationality sort of has some drink associated with that.
Mead is not the right answer.
Yeah.
I don't know. Okay, well, at any rate.
I do believe it is a type of moonshine that is relative to those parts and maybe distilled. It was in a bottle that did have a label.
Rocky?
What is it?
Rocky.
What's that?
Oh. They're drinking
Coors Light?
Yeah. It's Coors Light, yeah.
Oh, okay. That must be it. Okay.
Taste of the Rockies.
That answers that. Okay.
Taste of the Rumbling. Coors Light, official sponsor of Aaron's Destruction.
Of the Rumbling.
You know his heart is cold when he's been drinking.
Oh, okay. So it says Rocky or Rocky, which is what? Twice distilled grapes and anise. It's a national drink of Turkey, as well as many regions of Greece, especially Crete.
Okay. All right. That makes sense. Good answers. I'm glad I asked. I knew somebody would find that one out. Thank you. Okay, Aaron's the first one to drink is something I want to point out here. He pours everybody the stuff, and he's like, he literally just makes no sense. Also, okay, wait. One other detail I can't skip over. When he first comes up to them with the coffee or whatever, the drinks for Mikasa and Aaron, it sounds like it goes, "Hi, nice to meet you." Am I wrong?
He says it in a foreign language, but they were saying when they wrote the text bubble in the manga, it was just like bubbly, like writing, like they couldn't understand it. Is all he was trying to say.
Okay, but it sounds like the voice actor is like, "Hi, nice to meet you." And I'm like, okay. Pretty sure he's speaking English, I guess.
It didn't sound like that to me. It sounded like he was mumbling in some other language to me.
Okay, well, at any rate, he makes weird noises.
He speaks his language. The language of his people.
The fictional language. Yeah, and Aaron's the first one to take a drink, and he actually gets the party started by doing that. And they all start drinking out of
They all start drinking.
Cans. Also, other thing is the language of the various things in the show that have never gotten solved. One of them is, how did Ymir read? Ymir was
what
reading
language did Ymir read that Reiner was like, what? You
but
can
Reiner
read
couldn't.
that?
Not necessarily.
No, Reiner didn't. He's like, how can you can read this? Like, how do you understand this?
I think he's saying, wait a second, we could read the same thing. How do you read this when you're from this island?
Well, the people I think we've already established that the people of Marley and the people of the island have the same original language.
Yes.
And they even have similar accents. So therefore, that would mean that Ymir is from a foreign nation that was probably conquered by Marley and brought back there.
That makes sense.
And Reiner was like, how can you read that? Because it was probably stolen.
How did it end up on the island in the
That's
fort?
a great question.
That's why
we don't know the answer to that one.
They probably took a bunch of supplies and ran.
But where did the ruins of Ugart come from?
Are we ever gonna
know? It
know?
was a can of herring. That's right.
It was a can of herring.
So it's from the ocean.
Maybe it was from.
Oh, that's right.
Azamobito's
That's right.
island.
Remember, they were saying that the I forgot we actually talked about this. That there was some bandits who were staying in the castle, but it was Zeke and it was Peek and it was the whole people who were remember that whole, like, we thought it was just Zeke, but it was actually an entire attachment because they had the gas attack and everything. And so they were actually staying there. So they probably brought them from whatever island they were on or whatever place they were as provisions overseas.
Yeah.
Okay. So it was foreign, but it was
Zeke
also from
and
Marley.
Pick brought the herring and the coffee.
True. Okay. That makes more sense. Okay, all right. Yeah, so they run out of drinks, inside of this one tent, and then it looks like they get the whole freaking village involved and have just like the most insane, like hilarious. Yeah,
they had a hootenanny.
They had a hootenanny. And Hanjay and Levi and Anya Capone come to find them, and everybody's just like passed out on the ground.
Sasha's vomiting in the corner. My favorite part is how Aaron has his leg resting across Jean's face.
But like,
and then Mikasa is like
snuggling
gently snuggling him, and Armin's on the other side, and they're all just passed out.
The three amigos, man, they're there. They
that was the last
Connie
time.
and Jean are holding each other.
I'm surprised. Like this, when this happens, everything comes out, right? Everything comes out. I'm surprised Mikasa wasn't like, Aaron, I'm a really pretty girl, and
I've loved you for a long time.
You're pretty to me, and I love you. You know, and like
we don't know.
I'm pretty. I'm just shocked that didn't happen because that always happens. It always happens.
What's that one comedian who has like he does a bit on drunk girls? That's
oh
like
my gosh,
famous,
it's hilarious.
His impression is
so real.
Yeah, even no. Yeah, I mean no. It's like the funny. I can't even attempt. Like the guy is so freaking funny.
He obviously has lots of experience with drunk girls. He's probably got lots of bigger sisters or younger sisters or something. Anyway.
Okay, so
you know what's the best thing to do when you're hungover after partying all night? Go listen to a racist speech because that's what they go do.
Hey, you know I have this big hearing tomorrow?
No, I think they're like, listen, we're gonna hear some racist bullcrap. We better drink up now. I need this.
Yeah,
okay?
I need this. I
can't go sober.
Aaron is the only one that was prepared.
So
he didn't even bother to sit down.
They show up. They're at the hearing. The dude's at the pulpit. He's all, we seek to aid the Eldian refugees. These are not Eldians who believe in the empire or their, terrifying ideologies. They are tragic victims
of forced inbreeding.
So at this point, we were watching, and I was actually very surprised. I was like, I've never heard of this group. How come? Now I know why I haven't heard of this group.
Yeah, because it was really useless. It was pointless.
These are nothing like the island devils that we hate.
Yeah, this is something that Gabby would have been for.
But this lines up pretty well, if you remember, because it was also, remember the Tybers, right? Willie Tyber. It was weird because he was an Eldian that still had the elite status.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Didn't live in the internment zones. The Tyber family kept the Titan power passed down amongst their family. They were all Eldians. A bunch of them were like that's who they were, and they had like their little clan or whatever. And he's the one who gave his speech about uniting the world and so on and so forth. And his speech about uniting the world was basically this exact same pitch that this guy is giving. Mm-hmm. He's saying
it's the island devils that are really the bad guys.
It's not the Eldians in our midst here. These are just refugees or just victims. We need to focus our attention on the island. And
specifically Eren Yeager.
Yes. Right. And that's what Willie Tyber ends up going for. And so they make this, he makes this, he says, they fled there 100 years ago. They're the true enemy. And of course, the whole place stands up and applauds. Mm-hmm. That's your cue, guys. No peace is going to happen. They don't look promising. You're not going to get it with them. And Eren doesn't need to hear a word more than that. Yeah. He hears that and goes, Lady
Kiyomi just closes her eyes. Like you can see, she almost physically feels pain. And then they all look so sad. And then Eren disappears, and that's when Mikasa says that's the last time we saw Eren.
Yep. He had made up his mind. He'd heard everything he needed to say.
That was when he disappeared.
He went and made his deal with the devil, made his deal with Zeke.
And then we start seeing a bunch of Eren flashbacks of what he was doing before, during, and after that.
Okay, Mikasa says this line. Yeah, next time Eren left us, he sent the letters, he said to entrust everything to Zeke. And next time I saw him, it was too late. And she asks herself, she says, is there any other choice we could have made? Maybe everything had been decided from the start. So here goes the determinism. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But I still can't help but think back then, what if I'd given a different answer?
That day.
Would things have ended this way? Right? And she's looking at the rumbling out in the
I
ocean.
would definitely wonder that if I was her. Like if I'd had the guts to tell him, I love you, be my husband. Like would he have abandoned his plans?
And I love it because this speaks to my favorite philosophical subject, which is free will versus determinism. Like, is everything set, or is there such a thing as like free will? And like, there's both a religious and non-religious, a God existing and a non-God existing version of both sides of that argument. there's a scientific view of, what they call the true random, and free will can exist because there's such a thing as actual like randomness and limited versions of that, and so on and so forth. And I love that, like, she's getting into it here. Like, well, if you could see the future, then it's determined, right? Or is it? Mm-hmm. Can it be possible that free will exists and some things are like determined to happen anyway? And anyway.
We do get some questions answered in these flashbacks.
Yes.
One of them makes me terribly sad.
The Flock one?
Yes.
Oh,
Aaron
easily.
did, in fact, have secret meetings with Flock, where he did, in fact, tell Flock his plan.
Ew.
Where he did, in fact, trust him with stuff.
Ew.
He also had secret meetings with Yelena, but it wasn't clear to me that she knew he was listening. I think Aaron knew he was there, but I don't think Yelena was meant to know that he was there. I think Aaron had him hiding off to the side, because then later you see him telling him, go along with the plan, go along with Zeke's plan, but actually this is my plan. I'm going to do this instead. And I hate to say this, but some of our emails that are talking about Flock and how he's a good choice for this, I'm starting to kind of swing over to that side a little bit.
Got a flock roach over here.
I'm not saying I'm a flock roach, okay? I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is I'm starting to understand why Aaron chose him. Because he is very determined. His face is set like flint. He's not going to be derailed from the mission.
No, I don't even think it's that. I think it's because he is he's loyal to Aaron. Like, he's gullible.
Yeah,
he's gullible. He's easy to manipulate.
He's pliable,
exactly what he says.
but also he's charismatic. He gets people, like, if you think back to the day when they marched with Erwin, he was the one who got people to like start freaking out. People listen to him. People are influenced by his emotions because he's so passionate.
And he was looking for a devil.
Yeah. And also, Aaron doesn't really care about Flock. Flock isn't part of his posse. Flock isn't one of his closest friends. He's a disposable pawn.
Yeah, but he sets him up to be like the ruler. It's just like, he's a freaking dictator.
Yeah.
All right. But I'm with you in that, like, strategically
he's
speaking,
also a really good distraction for them to focus on, because they're all going to hate him.
Now,
he also has nice hair. And no, what's happening to me?
The transformation is taking him over. No, but seriously. Okay.
And I feel bad for Flock a little bit because he's been duped massively. Like, Aaron has just used him.
Okay, but this is the part
and Flock
of the episode.
really does think he's doing the right thing.
Okay, but
he really does think he's saving people.
Aaron didn't lie to him. He is going to do the rumbling. He's going to kill everybody outside the island.
Yeah, he didn't. But okay, so hang on. But we need to get to that part because we need to talk about a couple things first. Yeah. First of all, this is the part where it switches from Mikasa seemingly narrating to like Aaron's kind of narrating, because the rest of the episode is kind of like him and his flashbacks, right? Including the stuff we're talking about now. He actually opens it up with, when did it all begin? Back then, it doesn't matter. And it flashbacks like all this stuff. He says, everything happened by my will. Everything after this. And ... right? Like, it doesn't really finish the sentence. Mm-hmm. Then it goes to these flashback. The Zeke thing, both Eldia and the world, both Eldia and the world will be saved if we do the euthanization plan. The spinal fluid wine thing, he right, Flock's there for all that. And he says to Flock, I'll pretend to go along with it.
Yeah.
And you're right. Like, I'm with you now. Like, I can see his like strategy. We now can verify. We're always questioning if characters are telling the truth in the show.
Yeah.
And they were. This was real. Flock was there, fooling Yelena. This is all part of the plan. I think the reason he doesn't tell the rest of his actual friends, which drives me nuts, his actual friends would stop him or would try to stop him.
Well, Historia tries. He tells Historia his plan. So we finally see her. She still exists. And he's confiding in her the whole thing. It seems like he's telling her the whole plan. And she is wanting to stop him and saying, I can't be a good friend to you if I don't stop you. That's a really good test for what the rest of them are going to be like.
Yeah.
Yes.
But she doesn't stop him. So he must have convinced her.
But he says, it
ends with, what if I got pregnant? They don't say anymore.
Oh, I could just wipe your memory. Just hang on. Like,
yeah.
That's not like, here's culpable deniability. That's not what she wants. She doesn't want him to do the bad thing.
She wants you to actually not do the horrible thing.
Just hang on a minute. I'll go wipe your memory. Like, no, I'm not going to let you do that because I don't want you to do this terrible thing. This is wrong.
I don't want you to stain your soul with all this horrible
Yeah, she says this is wrong. She
evil
says
that you're about to ensue.
She says you're doing this to all these people who are outside the island. Not all of them are evil. They'll be dying and they'll have no idea why. Just like your mom.
Yeah.
Boom, your mom joke. Just straight up dropped on Aaron. Like heartless, right?
What a savage she was.
But then, he quips back with, well, they're just expecting you to sacrifice your children all for the island. How is that fair?
And she says, he said, I won't let another parent be fed to their children.
I don't want children to grow up and eat their parents.
Yeah.
Do you guys already say this? The line where he says, "You're fine, but with the
but I'm not.
but I'm not."
Yeah.
Like Astoria is willing to make a sacrifice to do like the Zeke plan if that's what it takes in order to like preserve. Like she's willing, and she always has been. And then he's like, you're fine with it, but I'm not. Meaning like I'm going to do this anyway. And that's what starts that second half of the conversation, right? And of course it flashes back to like Flock, and he's kind of simultaneously telling the same story to both of them about his real plan to actually just full stop do the rumbling. And Historia speaks for all of us here, where she's like, that's wrong. Not everyone off the island is an enemy. Mm-hmm. And most of them aren't even going to know why they're being killed, like you're saying that. And then he says, this is the line. I wrote this whole thing down because I was like, this is so interesting. This is Aaron's like logic here. The only way to be sure to end the cycle of revenge fueled by hate is to bury our hate-filled history with civilization itself. And they want you to, bear children as a sacrifice for the island, but I won't let kids eat parents anymore. And she said, I have to stop you. I won't be able to live with myself. They get into that whole thing, but his line about like the only way to end the cycle of revenge-fueled hate is to bury hate-filled history and with civilization itself. Like,
bury it.
To start over entirely. That's his whole. Now, okay.
Just reset the world.
I'm always looking for reasons to get on both sides of an argument. So I'm not saying I agree with this. I'm just throwing this out there. Okay. So when you read, Old Testament, we've gone through Old Testament, our youth or whatever. In Genesis, you have the story of the flood. Everybody's like, oh yeah, Noah's Ark. They don't remember the flood. They just remember the ark. Like, yeah, it's cute.
True.
There's animals and like, the tigers and like the 2x2 and blah, blah. Okay, but
nobody really, they sort of glaze over the earth-wide devastation and screaming humans drowning outside the ark.
And it's a worldwide judgment.
It's pretty bad.
The world probably wasn't as big as it is now in terms of like people, but the idea is that it's a judgment, right? The story is a story about a massive judgment, like the time has come. But the thing is it's not for no reason. And when you read about why this had to happen and why this sort of soft reset on humanity itself had to happen is because it says that every thought and intent of their heart was wickedness, was only wickedness continually, right? It's the most harsh accusation possible. And of course,
everyone is Hitler and they all want to murder you.
But you fast forward to the New Testament, and then like Jesus comments on the story as well in front of the Pharisees. He's talking about like in those days they were eating and drinking, laughing and marrying, and they did, basically they were like completely debaucherous. They were so wicked, like the only option was to start over. Okay. I'm not saying Aaron's God, and I'm not saying I like his plan for destroying the whole world. But my point is to say that, again, whether you like his logic or not is irrelevant to the fact that it may be his logic, and there may be some factual correctness to the idea that, well, in order to like offset all of in order to get rid of the hundreds of years long rivalries and tension and hate and like bigotry and stuff. In order to do that, the only real way to do it is to delete almost everybody so no one really remembers it anyway. And
he's gonna just kill everything outside of the island.
The people on the island got their memories erased anyway, so what difference does it make?
We thought the royals in charge erasing everybody's memory were the bad guys.
Mm-hmm. Nope.
Here's Aaron.
It was Aaron the whole time.
Here's Aaron. Trying to kill everybody instead of just erasing people's memories. Like, I'm not saying...
He's going to erase them.
It's pretty insane.
Okay, but you see what I'm saying? Like, there's at least like some logic on Aaron's.
It is logical and merciless.
Because Yelena said in the last episode, you can't take the violence out of the people. We tried. You tried. Mm-hmm. You tried to separate. You tried to do this. You tried to make a threat. You tried to put a wall up. And guess what? People keep coming for bloodshed. They keep coming for racism. They keep coming for violence.
Okay.
Aaron's like, you guys won't drop the ball? All right, I'm gonna make you drop the ball. I'm gonna kill you all
with a knife.
You're gonna kill the dog that won't drop the ball. Basically, you're gonna stop it.
Doesn't this make Aaron sort of a messiah figure? Which I feel like every epic story devolves into that at some point.
They've certainly done a lot of that foreshadowing. I think
Messiah-esque. Now I'm not saying like
he's almost died.
Yeah.
He's given his life. He's come back.
His head was literally chopped off.
Yeah,
but I'm
or
saying,
shot
like,
off, I guess.
Even his rumbling, his judgment of the world, is a messianic type of like thing.
I think that's why that's the way Flock thinks of him. I think that's the way the
Elena certainly thinks of him as a
Flock. What are you doing to me? Listen, you guys are the Flock defenders here, okay? You're Flock apologists.
Okay, so
Flockologists, as I like to call them.
Listen to no, I'm not a Flockologist. No, Mad Justice says, listen, Aaron reveals his plan to only two people, Historia and Flock. Historia goes, no, you shouldn't do that. That's bad. And Flock goes, awesome. Right? Like that shows you the two types of people, right? It's like Historia's like, no, this is wrong. It's killing everybody just like what happened to you. And he goes, yeah, the only way to stop is to kill everyone.
Aaron's the type to burn down his console when he starts losing in a game.
No, he's going to burn down everybody else's console.
That's right.
No one can play games anymore. He burns down the internet.
He's been through a few keyboards, let me tell you. Aaron's he's the type. Okay. Let's see. He
Zeke
says,
and Aaron talk, or are we gonna?
Well, yeah. See.
Okay.
Oh, the line, Historia's line. You're the worst girl in the world.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
I was trying to, like, he mentions that. She says, you know, if I don't try and stop you, I won't be able to live with myself. And he's like, well, if it's hard for you, I can just, erase your memories. Obviously, that's a freaking jerk thing to say.
Yeah.
And she says, I just can't. And he goes, you can, because you are, quote, the worst girl in the world who saved me back then. Meaning, like,
he was tied up to the pillars. Mm-hmm. Her, Rod Rice, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Goes,
her dad.
You've gotta like eat him. You gotta take this injection, and you've gotta turn into a Titan and eat him, and you'll have the world power again, and everything will be good again. She goes, no, like I'm not going to do this thing. I'm going to save him, even though I'm the worst girl in the world. Mm-hmm. I forget exactly what she says, but she basically says like,
well, it's because he's telling her, you're a good girl, do this thing, take this injection, blah blah blah, and then she's like, no, I'm the worst girl in the world, and she like breaks it.
That might be a Mako question too. I wonder if we're kind of missing something in that phrase, the worst girl in the world.
But it's something that Aaron is saying back to her, like, you saved me, you protected me, and so therefore, like, I'm going to save and protect you as well. Yeah. And she's like, no, I'm willing to lay my life down for this island. Yeah. And he goes, I'm not willing for you to, like, lay your life down for this island. Mm-hmm. I'm going to go kill all the threats outside so we can have peace and paradise once again. She's not okay with that. Then she says, like, no, I need to stop you. And he goes, listen, I'm going to do my thing. I'll wipe your memory or whatever. And then she goes, hey, what if I got pregnant? It almost comes out of
nowhere.
What difference would it make?
What the frick is her head doing in that moment? Like, if she's so desperate to save him from himself, she's like, what if I get pregnant? And then you won't want to kill the world. Or what is happening?
I think what she said.
Zeke wants her to get pregnant.
No, Zeke wants.
So that, well, not.
No,
her.
the MPs wanted her to eat Zeke, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Zeke does want her to get pregnant, so she won't eat him.
This was kind of like the third plan. Okay, hang on. So I think I'm getting it now, because this was like essentially the third option, right? The option is like euthanization or rumbling that we know about, but the actual third option is, and this was Levi's plan too. Remember, even he was in on that, was we need to feed Zeke to somebody.
Historia.
Yes. Ideally to Historia. But the thing is,
first she has to have babies.
Yeah.
Well, she wasn't pregnant yet.
At least a baby.
But I almost think that, like, that's kind of like, that seems like the logical plan. Like, if you'd been able to pull that off, would you not have stopped everything? Like, let's say they'd done it. Let's say she becomes a Titan, she eats Zeke, and then Aaron's just not willing to do the rumbling through Historia to, like, use her in that way, or like, but.
I don't know. It seemed like when she was bringing this up, it was a solution to a much smaller plan when Aaron had just said, I'm going to kill everyone.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Who cares if you get pregnant? Right. Yeah, that'll appease the MPs for now. But the whole world's still going to die. It seemed like when she was bringing this up, hey, what if I get pregnant? Basically, like, it seemed to me in the episode, I was like, that's not going to stop him doing the rumbling, obviously, because you got pregnant and he still did the rumbling. Mm-hmm. But it seems like she's talking about something else. Tell me I'm missing something. What do you guys think?
I don't know.
Oh. Yeah, okay, so the pregnant thing, I don't know, honestly. Like, I'm just as confused as you are, but is it Aaron's baby? Okay,
I don't think so.
They definitely are hinting at that, I think, in this very strongly.
I thought they were too, kind of.
You think so?
Oh, 100%. Because, like, they're having a secret conversation where he's telling her everything he doesn't tell Mikasa. Like, and they're, they've been close. They've kind of shown that throughout the show that he and Historia have kind of a bond. And now they're, like, having this meeting where they're having this long emotional conversation where he's talking about killing the world. She's crying. And then she's like, what if I get pregnant?
Meaning, like, what if
you get me pregnant is what that to me infers. Like,
although, okay, wait, stop. I don't know. Because remember, he touches her the one time and, like, basically, like, can't touch her. He won't touch Zeke. He won't, like the whole, like, contact thing. Like,
yeah,
I don't know how that works during, Okay, all right. But seriously, Historia might end up being, like, a hero here because we haven't seen her. I feel like she's got to make some kind of comeback at some point, right?
Okay, so Aaron wants her to go along with Zeke's plan, but Historia getting pregnant in order to delay the MPs injecting her makes her into a Titan, right? So the reason she's getting pregnant is to, like, draw out the time, so she doesn't have to go along and get the Beast Titan, which gives Aaron time to use Zeke.
So that's why Aaron has to go through the whole elaborate thing that he does with Zeke. It's because he doesn't have Historia as an option.
I think so, but that still doesn't stop the rumbling from happening. So is her saying, "Hey, what if I get pregnant?" Is that her saying, "I'm on board with this"?
Okay,
it's not clear.
Historia is the freaking queen. How is Flock in charge? How come nobody's... Because in order to do the Jaegerist thing, the thing that they're overthrowing is Historia's government. And she just... Where is she? She just lets this whole thing go down.
She's just hanging out on a farm, getting herself knocked up, apparently. That's what she's doing.
I mean, listen, what I said earlier was...
She says my concern is about more than cattle. Really? Is it, though?
Aaron does whip his shirt off and have a six-pack.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's Chad Aaron now. Okay. However, that doesn't mean that he's the father. But he just told her he was going to kill the whole world, and girls love a crazy bad boy. Like, they just can't.
This is true.
They can't.
No, this is true.
So I don't know.
Okay.
So
well, anyway,
then they flash to Zeke and Aaron throwing the ball at the wall, having the Ackerman conversation.
The Ackerman thing. So he says headaches. So I've never heard of anything from Mr. Kasawa's research about that as far as the Ackermans go. The records show that their powers awaken during when their survival instincts are triggered. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, so that makes sense. But what I love here is that we actually called this. We actually also were saying, that sounds like bullcrap. The whole like, oh, well, you need a host. And what Aaron says to Mikasa at the table scene.
Yeah.
Doesn't sound right to me. And as far as I can tell, that's true, right? Mm-hmm. Like, this isn't correct. The whole thing.
Even Zeke kind of says, like, no, I don't think her feelings for you have anything to do with her being an Ackerman.
But I love it because he's speaking to free will instead of determinism. He's speaking to Mikasa's free will, where he says, reflex to protect a host. I doubt anything like that. And he says her devotion to you, basically, is because she likes you. She actually likes you. She's willing to rip up Titans because she actually really likes you. It's not any kind of quote forced behavior.
Yeah.
Which this tells me that as Aaron's getting that revelation from Zeke, his brother, that Mikasa really likes you, I think that answers Mikasa's question, because she was like, what if I had said something different? What if I said, no, Aaron, I love you and I want to be with you or whatever. I want to be your wife and make little Aaron Mikasa babies or something. I don't know.
Yeah, he probably still would have left because he wasn't sure if she really was devoted to him or not, or if it was programmed into her.
The reason I think Aaron is still doing the rumbling regardless is because whether she's family, whether she's really close, is because he cares for her.
Yeah.
So I don't think that would have changed with either answer, but I think he gets his answer from Zeke. She really likes you. And he goes, okay, I have to push her away. So I have to go on and do my thing.
Yeah. So if I let her in, she'll stop me.
He says of them, I'm going to be dead in 4 years. He's like, how are you going to tell her? He's like, I'm going to be dead in 4 years, but I want them to keep on living, to keep on smiling. And it flashes back to the scene like in a bar, and Flock's there too. And so obviously Aaron has some sort of feelings for Flock.
He doesn't not care about Flock. Dang it.
Hate his guts, yeah.
Okay. I mean, they did go to cadet training together. He was there from the beginning.
They did, but he cares about everyone there on the island.
He's a comrade.
He wants to protect them, and that's why I think he pushes him away.
Yeah. Quick side note. Christian saying 95% of the military who aren't for Aaron, who aren't on Aaron or Flock's side, were the ones who got turned into Titans. So if that's his story is like government.
That's why it was so easy.
Yeah. So, all right. Good point. Okay, so we get to the final scene here. We get to the birds.
Get to see. Well, first we get to see Aaron cut off his leg and jab his eye out.
That's right.
Which tells me how far he's willing to go. He
apparently joined the military, while he was undercover, and then injured himself in the trenches, so that he could end up in. I mean, he really planned.
And
he was devoted to his plan. He chopped his own freaking leg off.
Stabbed his
Not
eye
even with a saw, okay? He used a freaking hunting knife.
No. Oh.
Gross.
Okay. But what's the word you just
127
used to
hours?
describe his actions?
Yeah, I was just thinking 127 hours. Sorry, what?
The word you just used to describe his actions.
Devotion?
He was devoted.
Yeah.
What does Zeke say? She likes you. The reason she's so devoted to you is because she really likes you.
Yeah.
Same word.
And he goes, "Oh, I really like these people. I really care for these people. So I need to be that level of devoted. I need to be that level of hardcore.
You're so devoted that I'm going to
jam out my eye,
Yeah.
cut off my leg, do the plan, get through the plan,
Yeah.
accomplish the plan. Though it costs me everything because I care for them." And it's a brutal,
so graphic.
nasty,
So very graphic.
twisted way of showing somebody you love them.
So cut my leg and stab my eye.
Cut my leg and stab my eye.
Because my heart is in paradise.
Oh.
Oh, all right. Cool.
Emo
Meanwhile,
fans out there?
after that, we
Emo's not
see
dead.
the rumbling. Finally,
Yes.
we see they are swimming under the water.
Dude, that
terrified
not what
me.
I called. I missed that
I
part.
thought they were just walking under the water like giant, dumb zombie flesh things.
Yes.
But in fact, they are not. They're boiling the ocean while they swim at the speed of torpedoes.
Okay, sorry. Before I miss it, because I'll forget if I don't. Poison Ivy's saying the same thing I was saying. I was thinking. I just didn't say it, but you got this. She says, "Did Aaron use a bullet to make it look like it more realistic for his eyes?"
Yes.
Because it wasn't sharp. It looked like a shell.
Okay, but
No,
that's
he used an unexploded bullet
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
jam into his eye.
But that's a weird thing to do because if a bullet literally went
guess
in your head,
it
you'd
would
have
kill
a
you.
explosion
Yeah,
at the
out
back.
the back, yeah.
If it didn't, it'd rattle around in your skull and kill you, right? So it only could have been shrapnel that would have taken his eye out, which shrapnel is
so
not
using
perfectly
a piece
round.
Of metal, then
I think it was just, as graphic as this is going to sound, it's the right shape to just pop your eye out.
Okay, so rumbling. Anyway, rumbling. Yep. There's the ocean. There's the Navy. They're all lined up. And I don't know who this guy's supposed to be. He's like, yes, the global combined fleet. Every large cannon that exists today is here. And we're focused on humanity is focused on a single purpose. Which I thought,
It's a miracle.
yeah, he's like, it's a miracle. And I kind of thought, maybe this is Aaron's idea. It's like, I gotta unite the world against me.
Unite the world against me and make everybody friends again, kind of pulling a Dr. Manhattan type of deal. And
The
yet,
Dark Knight.
no, he's here
No.
to kill everybody.
He's not the Dark Knight. He's just the apocalypse.
He's Ragnarok.
He is. So
He is the fireworm.
this
Okay,
guy
sorry.
correctly says, if we can't stop this, no one will. Like, no one will be able to. This rumbling.
Yeah.
And I said this. Somebody go back and tell me how many episodes ago I said, like, basically as soon as the rumbling started, I was like, okay, wait a second. The world's not going to put up no fight. They're not just going to get run over entirely. Like, they're at least going to do damage. That's probably not enough, but they're at least going to fight back. That
They
small
do.
detail, I
They
got
do
exactly
fight back.
right.
They have all the biggest cannons and all the ships and all the people with cannons on the shore, and they are as ready as they can be.
Yeah. And it's
And
not
they
enough.
are like a square of toilet paper against a wave from the ocean.
No,
It looks like it
they
works
get
at
some
first.
Kills. They get some
Yeah.
kills. Okay, the early kills they get because they throw the shells in the water. They rip a bunch of the Titans apart. Dude, the Titans swimming is... I'm sorry, I know we said that, but I'm so freaked out by the
Yeah.
fact... I was picturing them walking on the bottom of the
That's
ocean.
what I was also picturing. So when they were swimming, I was like, oh, wow, okay. And when Hanjay said how fast they were moving, in my head, I was like, how are they walking that fast? It's because they were swimming.
They were swimming. They're very powerful.
Because you can swim.
And they're incredibly
Pretty quickly.
light.
And
That's
yeah.
true, they don't weigh as
Also, they're apparently boiling the ocean
And
while they're
probably
swimming through it.
Killing all the fish.
And they're killing everything in their path.
Okay,
The birds that are flying up there are getting melted, just like the people in the boats.
The smoke is causing, or the steam is causing probably some sort of pollution.
Oh,
like
for sure.
the
They're basically like
ecosystem-
moving volcanoes.
The ecosystem is being destroyed, so the world is getting destroyed whether or not they want it. Like, it's
Yeah.
a dang good thing that Paradise doesn't fish in the ocean because they're killing everything. One mantis shrimp shooting its arms out causes that like incredibly hard shockwave that like
Yeah.
melts stuff in the ocean.
Yeah.
That kills everything in a radius. How many colossal titans are there in the water?
a lot.
Everything's
a lot.
dead.
Everything is dead.
Is that why there's so much blood?
Well-
in the
You know,
harbor?
it's funny. I wasn't actually expecting, which is really dumb now that I'm analyzing my own brain. But like when you see the steam is so high that you can see it from miles and miles away, like my brain did not equate that to extreme heat. So when they swim under the boats and their steam cloud just like destroys the people on the boats and the boats just spontaneously combust, that was the moment that I was like, oh yeah, steam is hot. Like they're just
epically hot.
They're
like
literally
hot.
They're like swimming volcanoes. They're making a pyroclastic flow while they go through the ocean.
Raiders of the Lost Ark.
It's just absolutely destroying everything.
And Raiders of the guy's face melts. Like it was actually Titan steam.
Oh, is that what it was?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just insane.
Okay, but the Whale Titan from season 2.
Oh, is that what that's about? Did we finally see it?
He's gonna come
yeah, what the heck?
Okay. Dang. I had something earlier I was going to say. I'm like thinking about everything you're saying. Like the world. Oh. Yeah, like the world's food sources, like everything, they're screwed like left, right, and center. Like they're gonna get
everything
crushed.
is just devastated.
I mean, just as bad maybe is the fact that they're producing so much. Like they are global warming, like maybe they just sat in the ocean. That would be enough actually to just kill the planet like over 2,000 years or something.
Except
like that.
then everyone on the island would die too.
Well, no.
So he's just burning all of life outside of the island.
The EPA would show up and give them tickets, and then that would solve it. Okay, and
certainly.
Then they,
so anyway,
sorry, moving on. Okay, so they shred the whole Navy.
They absolutely destroy it.
Steam. They don't even have to touch them.
They like stand up on the land, like the soldiers from our
then they stand up,
and it's like
one of them's missing most of its head, and it's still moving.
This is fine.
Like this is the moment where I'm like, Aaron's the bad guy.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. And then you see him, and he's the scariest thing. You like, oh my gosh, he looks like a demon that crawled straight out of hell.
Uber long hair.
If you were holding out any hope, this is the perfect picture.
His ears are even pointier.
He's like crawling on his like belly spines.
He
looks like a spider, snake, Rod Rice. He's got blood on his mouth, long hair. He looks creepy, and he goes,
his eyes are glowing.
I'm gonna kill every last one of them.
And
you're like, that's a bad guy.
And they're like, it's the Attack Titan. Ah!
Okay, so for real, like, mad props to Yama for coming up, because it always happens all the time. It's like, look at Darth Vader, and he's so cool and like glorious, and like he's like awesome, and you actually kind of want to be him, but he's supposed to be like the villain there for a while. No, I guess what's his name? The Emperor though is kind of gross looking, but like
Palpatine.
Yeah.
But it's much scarier when your bad guy is like grotesque.
He is
like
so, and he looks so sinister and so menacing.
Yeah.
Just all the ribs. Like, why are there so many ribs?
But I'm saying this is like out of the box creativity.
Yeah.
Again, as far as like coming up with like a scary, evil looking kind of like character, it's not.
He
like,
does look like the demon of nightmares. Like he just he absolutely looks like nightmares brought to life.
He looks almost as creepy as that
he
clown
is
earlier
the boogeyman.
in the episode.
Almost. He's right there.
He is absolutely the boogeyman.
But like he's like he's not even like bipedal, like, oh,
he is the island devil.
He's just like a full-on, scary, like, out of your imagination and beyond. Like, this isn't the boogeyman in the closet. This is a monster of, like, and he's massive, like, the size.
Yeah, he's so much bigger than I was expecting him to be.
It is Lovecraftian.
You can't even really see all of him.
And
they don't really let you see, like they kind of like zoom up, and I was thinking they were going to let us see how big Aaron actually is now, and they don't let us see how big he really is.
Okay, Nate's also pointing out here too that the face, this is definitely the face that we saw the more painted version of right after she shot his head off that episode where they kind of show him or whatever. This is that face.
Yeah.
Like, it is. Remark said, isn't it sad? Isn't it sad to see the face of the Attack Titan at the end? It drove it home that Aaron has made it it's like it's Aaron, but it's not. It's like the Attack Titan, but it's like a shell of its former self. It's not fighting for freedom. It's not fighting for justice. It's fighting for extermination.
Says it's been my will, right? Okay, hang on, let me look at my notes here. Yeah, I put every last one of them from this world. You remember he sees his mom's dying face too as he's like crushing him? Oh, that's what I was gonna say. So this is the crew are trying to stop the rumbling, but as of this moment, they already have it. in some sense, there's already some now they're doing damage control. There's no stopping the rumbling.
The rumbling has begun.
Landfalls happen. The rumbling is people are dying now, right this second.
They show them
whatever they do after this is going to be salvaging whatever's left of humanity after the fact.
Yeah.
That's the best that they can possibly hope for. So, we've all watched so many Marvel movies that I think in our heads we're all secretly thinking, yeah, they're going to find a way to stop this, and there's going to be this epic ending.
It'll reverse all the bad things.
I don't think that's what's going to... Can we do spoilers now?
Captain America
I think so.
and Iron Man are going to get...
This is spoiler section.
I'm not taking anything off. I have nothing.
My prediction is... The rumbling happens, full stop, unabated. Aaron absolutely gets what he wants.
He kills everything.
He kills everybody,
and no one stops him.
I don't think so. I don't think so. And I think they are left to start over on the island, and then that's actually how do we
I'm starting to think that might actually be the case too, because Aaron has definitely thought ahead a lot, and no matter how you look at it, it almost looks like checkmate at this point. Maybe not.
I don't think quite yet. That is a possibility. I think it's definitely on the table. As much as I wanted to deny it, I think it's certainly there. However, Christian had a good point. He said the devil of all the earth wasn't just Marley propaganda, was it? Think about this. Think about this. Every accusation that Marley has lobbed,
it's happened.
It's prophesied. Whether they intentionally wanted to or not, maybe they caused it. Willie Tyber was like, Aaron is the enemy of everyone. And Aaron goes, okay, here you go. Right? He wasn't beforehand. He wasn't beforehand. He wasn't the enemy of all the people, but he became that when you sent somebody to go in and kill his mother. Right? At what point has your words created the reality?
Yeah.
And at what point are you reaping the fruit that you've caused?
Yeah. There's something to be said about that. You make an accusation at somebody long enough, you're like, you're this, you're this, you're this. Well, eventually they just embrace yeah, that is what you think I'm a barbarian? Well, sure, I'll show you what a barbarian is. I'll actually be that thing. And they freaking come and savage you. Whereas when they weren't before, you were being you were maligning them before it was just words. But then you with your words help turn somebody into the thing you said.
It was a devil of their own making, Paris says. Yeah. They didn't say Aldea as an empire didn't exist, right? But guess what happened? Now Aldea exists on the island. They're like, yeah, we're going to be the new empire of Aldea. Aaron wasn't at war with everybody. Now he's at war with everybody, right?
Yeah.
The devil didn't make a deal with the apple, but now the devil made a deal with Aaron. Aaron made the deal with Ymir.
Yeah.
It's all come true. Not in the way you thought it. You speaking it at some point, I think, had an effect on it coming true.
Yeah.
Aaron has made all of the decisions himself. He wasn't influenced or brainwashed or whatever, but it's still, he was influenced by the fact that Marley didn't want to make peace. He was influenced by the fact that somebody came to the island to kill his parents. He was influenced by the fact that nobody in that, society wanted to be able, they were like, yeah, all the Eldians on the island are trash, but we're fine. He was influenced by all that, and he saw it and all, and he goes, yeah, okay, thanks for playing. Game over. I'm going to do some bad Aaron stuff, right?
Dang. Yeah, I'll be honest, I'm having a hard time forecasting much besides that. As far as what do you think the next episode even is? I actually don't. Obviously, the rumbling's taking place. I'm gonna have to assume that the port he's running right now, because they did say he'll make landfall at such and such a place before this other place. It sounds like
Liberia's going to be wiped out.
They kind of sort of know the trajectory of where he's going based on where the steam is, and so they're going to try to outrun where they think he's going to be next.
So, do you think then that Yolanda's going to be one to tell them, or do you think the other scouts are going to figure out, wait, the first place we went is this port, and that's where Aaron's going back to?
I was thinking Mikasa's probably going to figure out where he is based on the fact that she's remembering that port, and that's where he shows up at the end.
He wanted to get the ice cream again. That's what he wanted to do.
I still think there's at least a chance that this is the port they were headed to.
I'm not 100% sure it's not, but
I'm leaving it up. I think if it's not...
They named the other port. They didn't name this port.
That's right. Okay, you're right. Okay, never mind. Okay, so they make it to the hangar. They get the flying thing going, and I think they have some way of going, yeah, I think I know where Aaron is.
Then they're going to fly in the airship, and they're going to find the devastation in the wake of the rumbling.
Yes, I think that would be a good way to figure it out.
And I think at that point when Mikasa and Armin are finally going to
okay,
we got to kill Eren.
Plus Eren's so big that they'll find him.
He's not Eren anymore.
So I think they have to deal with the uprising in Liberio with Mr. Leonhardt and everybody. They have to deal with that.
Yeah, but what do you think? Like, what happens? Like, how?
I think they got out.
To where? Like, what are they going to do about anything?
I think they're organized, and they're going to stand in front of the Marleyan oppressor, and they're going to say, "We're Eldians. No, Eren, stop. Don't do this." And I think that the world's going to see the good Eldians.
That would be
actually
beautiful
doing that.
and probably make me cry, and then Eren will crush them all.
Yeah, I think Annie has to reunite with her dad at some point, like during that.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're assembling a force that's going to stand up against it. The military didn't do much, but it's got to be Eldians, blood and flesh, saying, no, we're going to stand here. I think that Historia thing didn't resolve anything for me. I still want to find out more.
No, like, we don't know anything about her kid. She did get pregnant. We know that happened. Who's the kid? Is the kid important? Is she important? Like, is she going to help do anything?
She put it on the table like maybe it was already an option, so maybe she was already seeing this guy and was
what could she possibly...
Who knows?
What could Historia possibly do besides being the kind of new mother of the earth, like kind of restarting civilization? Like,
yeah.
Honestly, even that.
Yeah.
Flock's in charge now. Flock's in charge of a freaking dystopia.
If he's even still alive.
However, most of the Jaegers have been killed. And remember the Kisades? He said, look for an opportunity to those scouts. There's going to be another uprising in Paradise Island. There's going to be another shift in power. And I think it's going to shift back. Maybe Historia comes back and she leads it. And she, she's the mother giving birth to the new humanity after everyone dies out there.
Okay, but what if her child... Okay, what if... What if, like, it all gets resolved?
What if Flock's the dad?
Oh, God, please stop. No.
Oh, no.
God, no. Please, the Michael Scott. I need that meme to play right now. I hate so much about the things you choose to be. Okay.
Yeah, maybe if they accuse Eren of being a nice guy... The reverse will happen. He'll stop the rumbling. They'll keep accusing him like, Eren's a nice guy. He would never kill you.
He would never do anything like this.
He's like, bum, 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 bum. Here's some ice creams.
Okay, yeah. So Historia has to get resolved. The they did tie up the Magath thing and Sadie's, like they had their kind of fateful end. We've got the Falco and Gabby thing.
Yeah, Falco. He's gonna play a part in this. Okay,
He's got a Titan power, but
all the Titan powers are off the island.
They are off. They're all on the same
Eren's
place.
off the island.
Yes, they're all in the same place.
Nobody off the island lives.
I can't see another way, really.
The Titan powers have to be killed at the end of the show, otherwise it's going to continue on.
Okay, no, but this is my thought about the Historia thing. Is that maybe Historia is like the final episode, and it comes back to her, and she's just given birth, and then like they do one of like three things. Number one is this child is not an Eldian. They like somehow figure out like this child can't be a Titan. The Titan powers are done away with, right? That would be like the peaceful.
Charlaki.
What do you say?
Oh, that'd be crazy.
What if Yelena's the father of Historia's baby?
We knew it.
If everyone dies and
sorry, Eric,
and the only people alive are the people on the island, and Historia gives birth, that child would get the 9 Titan powers.
All 9 of them.
That's my other theory.
Okay,
okay, that's it. That's the other theory. The first theory is like the Titan powers done away with is the first child to like bear no burden of the Titans. So it's actually over. The second version is this is the new Ymir. This next child has all the Titan powers, or the child just has the attack Titan power because it gets passed down somehow, right? Because somebody dies at the time.
But I don't think that they're gonna die. I think Eren's gonna harden them all. I think they're all gonna like lock arms or whatever, and then Annie's gonna start the hardening, and that's the only way to stop Eren.
Yeah, dude, that season 4 part 1 intro just didn't do it justice.
With the nukes.
Yeah, well, there's a nukes. Yeah, nukes. We were talking about nukes, maybe, but I mean, like he is his normal attack Titan self, and he forms in the crystal, and like they all like fuse or whatever. Now that he's in this like new form, I'm like, I don't know how much.
It's not necessarily
anymore.
Beautiful, but also what happened to the whale in the animal Titans? Also, is there going to be nukes? Do the Azumabitos have a nuclear warhead that they've developed, and they're going to stop Eren with this one final thing?
They drop a bomb. They literally drop a nuke on him.
There's a lot that could happen. There's a lot that could happen.
If they find out that it's the Islanders, right? It's the Paradisians who dropped the bomb on the rumbling and stopped the whole thing. That would be a way to sort of bring peace.
Bring world peace.
But you're not going to stop the hate unless the powers go away.
Well, yeah, especially, okay, I know I said this last episode too, but like, listen, Aaron, like you are effing daydreaming. You left Flock in charge. You think there's going to be peace on the island? Like, these people are literally already, like, it's been 5 seconds and they're already at war with each other over all
There's
this.
already a civil war brewing.
Yeah. Dude, it's just misguided.
So things are going crazy. We're going to have to wait until 2023 to find out the resolution.
Next.
Okay, but it's probably January, correct?
It could be January, just like it was this time. Yeah. So it's not that far away necessarily. It's,
It might also be August. We don't know.
We're looking at 9-ish episodes. So we assume if the episodes are 1 per 1.
December 2023?
No, don't say that, bro.
Stop.
That's probably it.
Stop.
That feels right to me.
Do not tell me.
Okay. All right, JK. All right.
Jeez. Freaking us out over here. It's just going crazy.
Regardless, whenever it airs, we're going to be here for it, and we're going to cover all of it.
We'll dress up for that, too.
We will.
Yeah, Poison asking, will you live stream in between then?
We surely will.
So we're going to be putting up a poll on
already
YouTube.
Up.
Oh, it's already up.
Already up, even though I misspelled something.
Shoot, it's okay. If you haven't already,
our misspelled poll is up on YouTube.
Go to YouTube, go find that poll. We want to hear from you guys. Because we want to do another anime. We'd like to do another breakdown kind of show. Odds are, because few of them are as detailed as Attack on Titan, the episodes would be a little shorter. So there's that. And we're thinking Fridays instead of Sundays as far as the live stream. But we want to hear from you guys. What do you want us to go do? We started Demon Slayer. We've got some, I would love to actually jump back into it. Now season 2's out. There's plenty of Demon Slayer to do.
So go vote.
You have on there?
It's right now we have on there. We have Demon Slayer. We have One Piece. We have Vinland Saga, and we have Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. I think.
Yes, which I've seen a lot of those in emails and comments.
Yes, which is why I put this in there because those are the most popular, most requested ones. Mm-hmm. But a lot of people in the comments right now are requesting Death Note.
Yeah, Death Note's interesting.
And Code Geass. I've never seen it or heard of it before, but a lot of people are requesting it. So we might update the poll later on as things develop. But please go make your guys' voices heard. Send us an email. We appreciate all the email. Code Geass. Geass. Yeah. Nate's always talking about Mob Psycho.
Yeah. Well, I gotta check it out. There's a bunch of these I've not seen at all, so I'd love to go check that out, which is actually kind of fun.
There's some really good ones. Yeah. What's also interesting is when I went onto the IMDb top 100 animes, some of the ones you think are freaking awesome aren't at the top. There's other ones that I'm like, people like this over these other. I don't know. It's a worldwide poll, so it's not necessarily adults, and it's not necessarily
Sailor Moon, just right at the top.
I actually don't know. Cold Geass.
Sailor Moon is.
Yeah, so go make your voice heard. We appreciate you guys. Thank you for joining us. We will be live going forward. Make sure to drop us a like, a subscribe, 5-star review, and stay tuned for more Attack on Titan breakdown podcast. Everybody. Beyond the Basement goodness.
We'll see you then.
We're gonna have a hootenanny.
About to go have a hootenanny.
Hey guys, thanks again for watching and listening to our show, Beyond the Basement Podcast. If y'all are enjoying it, go ahead and leave us a 5-star review on iTunes or wherever else you listen to our show. Check out the description below for links to our awesome Attack on Titan merchandise. And join us live on Sunday nights on Facebook for all of Season 4. And some of our best content is on YouTube, including me, so go ahead and check that out. And lastly, if you guys have any questions or just want to chat with us, please email us at beyondthebasementpodcast@gmail.com. Thanks again, and we'll see you guys in the next video.